Welcome to Wanderings and Wool Gathering, episode 109. Tonight we are tackling the new album from Alex Lifeson's new group, Envy of None. If you don't know who Alex is, then you've not been listening to this program, which is entirely possible. Tonight we're also playing a fun challenge by Metalhead Mundy, and we are reviewing issue number 2 of Sandman by Neil Gaiman. If you like what you've seen here tonight, subscribe and leave a comment. Feel free to share with your friends. Tonight's episode is brought to you by 4411 Creative Agency. Good folks at 4411 provide custom marketing and flawless execution. Head over to 4411creative.com to find out more. I'm your host, Foggy. Joining me tonight is JPP.
Easy listening sounds for the hard of hearing. It's JPP.
Hello there.
Hi, I wasn't listening.
Well, that makes a lot of you.
Huh?
And
Greetings.
I'm over you now. We're
Oh,
moving
yeah,
on
figured.
because I like Metalhead. It's Metalhead Mundy.
Step inside into his mind. It's boy band time. It's
Metalhead Mundy.
There he is.
Hey guys,
Howdy.
How's that?
Hey.
Does that feel better?
Feel
I
like,
was kind of enjoying bouncing around there.
yeah, it's like a
I can
Brady
keep it going if you
montage.
want. We can do that. Good evening, gentlemen.
Greetings and salutations. Happy
Howdy.
Sunday, wherever you are in your neck of the woods.
Happy Sunday indeed. Another fun show tonight. I was a little apprehensive this week because you never want to see one of the people you love try something new and you not like it. So I was pleased that I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. So I have good things to say about Alex Lifeson.
Nice. I thought you
Good.
meant somebody in your family was eating liver and onions or something.
I love liver and onions. What are you talking about?
Oh God!
What is
Go
wrong
on.
with you? You guys really don't like it? So good.
Sometimes you just never really know somebody. Oh,
Well, you never had my dad's cooking either.
I'll show myself out.
burnt to a crisp. So
Oh, yeah. It's got to be tender.
chewy.
All right. Well, are you guys ready to get started?
Ready.
All
yeah,
right.
I'm ready to get out of this food coma I'm in.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we'll start off with Mr. Mundy and his challenge.
Oh, yes.
So go for it. What are we doing this week?
Well, this one got pushed a little bit, which I think actually worked out pretty well. Basically, I wanted you guys to pick 3 industrial songs. And for people that don't know, industrial is just, it kind of came about in the 80s and 90s. It's kind of a mix between electronic music with like heavy guitars and, samples, all that good stuff, keyboards, synths. But usually it ends up being fairly heavy on the heavy end. So pick 3 industrial songs that you love. That's the only stipulation I put on it. You cannot use 9 Inch Nails. You cannot use Ministry, and you cannot use Stabbing Westward, because those are 3 bands that we talk about a lot. So I wanted something, that we don't talk about a lot, hopefully. So we'll see what you guys came up with.
I'll be honest, this was a little more difficult for me because when it comes to industrial, those are the 3 I listen to the most by far. So I did have a couple other songs that I just loved, and I think I kind of cheated a little bit on one, but I don't care. Teabags isn't here, so somebody has to cheat.
There you go.
All right. I will go first then. And so my first choice was Filter, not Hey Man, Nice Shot, but Welcome to the Fold.
Okay.
I love Filter. They're, compared to some of the other industrial bands, they're maybe a little cleaner groove-wise, maybe a little poppier in some ways, but Welcome to the Fold is excellent because it's got that quintessential industrial sound, and then it's got a really super catchy chorus. which a lot of his music does.
Mhm.
But I really like that song, "Welcome to the Fold." So that's my number one.
Great band.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, great band. Richard Patrick, he came out of the Nine Inch Nails camp and kind of started Filter, and Hey Man, Nice Shot is their big hit. I mean, that's what they, broke out with. But a lot of good music, man. And it seems like they definitely are a band that grew from their first album. Their sound grew and changed. And I would say they kind of, in a way, they kind of dropped some of the more industrial sound as they went, but they always kept a little bit of it around, I think. And Welcome to the Fold's a good example of that. It's a great song.
Yeah. Paul?
Totally. Yeah, I was going to say my favorite track from them is You Walk Away from the Amalgamate. It's a fantastic, very heavy track. Not necessarily as industrial as some of the earlier efforts, but it'll melt your face off. It's a good, good way to start that album.
Excellent. All right. Well, JPP, what was your first choice?
My first choice came from the Wax Trax collection, a nice little band called Palehead, and their song I Will Refuse. And while it's not Ministry, I believe Al Jorgensen and Paul Barker are affiliated with the project with Ian MacKaye from Fugazi on vocals.
Wait, what was the name of the group again?
Palehead.
Palehead, all right.
Mm-hmm. Has a real heavy punk vibe to it as well, but definitely has the industrial samples with some of the more brooding parts, and then it just rips your face off with the verses and chorus and, early Ian vocal fashion. It's really upbeat, energetic, and it's a great anthem for the era.
Cool. I haven't heard it, so
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
Was that, did you say that was on the Black Box?
It was, yep.
Yeah, I still have mine. I don't know if you do.
Oh,
but
I do.
got the one. I got the limited edition one that's in like the metal box, and it
Yep,
has
same.
like all the crumpled tape in the bottom of it, like the actual 2-inch tape or whatever.
Yeah,
Or it's not 2-inch tape,
it's the quarter inch.
yeah,
Yep.
yes, the 1/4-inch tape. Very cool box set. The cases, the CD cases were all black, like you couldn't even see what was in them. You had to open them up and take everything out. And very cool.
Yep, and if you didn't put them back in order, you're always like, oh, dang it, that's wrong, dang it, that kind of thing. But funny story, because actually, when I went into Disc Jockey, our friend Casper was managing at the time, and he said, hey, this is coming out. It seems like it's right up your alley. I'm like, yeah, go ahead and put me down for one, knowing good and well, man, how am I going to come up with the money for that? And then while I was at school, Mom got the call that it came in, so she bought it, and I completely forgot about it, and Christmas Day, I unwrapped it, and I was like, well, holy cow, where'd you get this? And she's like, they called and said it was in,
Nice.
so I was like, I didn't know what to get you this year, so here you go.
Bam.
Best surprise ever.
Yeah.
It's like, I didn't have to come up with the loot after all.
Fantastic. All right, Monty.
The first one I'm going to let you guys know about is a band called God Lives Underwater. And they were, I don't know, I honestly, I don't know that they're still around. The last release that I've seen from them was like 2004. So, and that was after a hiatus, I think. So I don't know that they're still around, but this one's from 1995. It's a song called Weaken. It's off of their album Empty, which I believe is their first full-length album. And this song is, I mean, it's buried on the album. It's like number 8 or 9 in the play order. And I love it because it's kind of, they have a little bit of a poppy sound. I think part of that is from the vocals, because the two guys that are the main crux of the group, they sing together, and I don't know that they trade off, but they sing together a lot.
Yeah.
And kind of gives it a poppy feel a little bit. But man, this thing drops into this wicked groove. Like the whatever synth sound that they have on this groove, I mean, it's just it starts off sounding kind of poppy and then drops into this nasty groove, and it's you're just like, where did that come from? And it just kind of drops in and out of that, and It's so good. It's really catchy and just kind of I think it's a really good measure of their sound. It's got a little bit of everything that they like to do in this one song.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I came across my copy of one of their albums in my collection not too long ago, and I did a Google to see, where are they now? And sadly, I learned that the singer died in 2005 in his sleep.
Okay.
Yeah, so they already disbanded by that time, and one of the other guys started a band called Wired All Wrong, and with another colleague from the group at one point, and then
Writing that down.
yeah, but I didn't see where anything else came to fruition from anybody else. So that I'm sure they're moved on to other ventures or maybe even other careers by that point. But nonetheless, they'd already disbanded and didn't get a chance to reunite, sadly.
Yeah, well, like I said, that last album that I saw was in 2004, so that makes sense.
Yep. But great group. They were very underrated. If I'm trying to remember, were they on that Depeche Mode tribute album?
I believe so, yes. I don't... Did they do maybe Flies on the Windscreen?
That sounds right. That's a fantastic album for anybody who loves Depeche Mode. This tribute album of covers is all over the map, and they're all great. My favorite is Master and Servant. It's a nice little sultry bossa nova rendition, but some good stuff to dive into.
God Lives Underwater. All right.
Yep. Great band.
Got it down.
Yeah.
All right, for my number 2, I think I cheated a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Because this band they have some of those elements. I think sometimes they're classified as such, but they also have like that really sweet post-punk sound with that guitar and the bass. So I went with Love Like Blood from Killing Joke. Does that count?
Oh, yeah.
Heck yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I will
But some of their
that.
stuff, especially early, was more on the punk side. They came out of that in late 70s, but so they still at this point had kind of that punk sound going on, and they were sort of transitioning. So I don't think I would really call this full on industrial, but I think they're categorized as such. So I think it should count. So that is my number 2.
I approve.
Yeah, definitely. Killing Joke is a great band. Anyone who does not know them, go find them immediately, and you'll hear probably some band that you'll love. You'll hear a little bit of that in Killing Joke because they have inspired so many bands and musicians. And they're another band whose sound, I think, changed over the years. And in later years, they definitely embraced the industrial thing a bit more, starting in the 90s, I think.
We should review their EP that just came out. Those 4 songs that just came out are phenomenal. It is really good.
Agreed. Yeah. And what's interesting is with the Love Like Blood, the breakdown on that always reminds me of Dr. Feelgood. It's like I couldn't help but notice that maybe Mick Mars took that.
Wasn't there a lawsuit about that?
Not about that one. It was about the song 80s because it's pretty much Come As You Are.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's right.
Which was another. It was neck and neck between which one I chose, but great songs.
Yeah, and was it the self-titled album from the mid 2000s that had Dave Grohl on drums?
Yes,
with Asteroid.
2003, I think.
Yeah, that album is a banger, and
yes, so good.
I got to say that anytime I put it on, I find myself listening to it for almost a month consistently because it's so good.
The song off of that one, there's a song called Asteroid. Oh my God. It is oof.
And
you can hold that up to any heavy metal song that you love, and it's
another anthem. And check it out live on YouTube too. There's some really killer live videos of them playing that, and he just shouts that for an indefinite amount of time, and they just boom go right in on the one.
We saw them when they opened for Tool. When Lacey and I went and saw them, I mean, that must have been 2019 before the world shut down.
Right.
And Killing Joke actually opened for them. And I was super excited for that. And they just had like a tiny little setup, in the front of the stage and like in any other opening band. I'm like, God, these guys are like legendary. This sucks, but they were awesome. They brought it. They sounded great.
And one from the technical nerd, spoiler alert, the thing that always blows my mind is the guitarist has always had that same Gibson hollow body, and it just gets heavier every album.
Cool.
The hee-haw. Oh, okay.
Hee-haw.
All right. So, sorry, Sistine started saying that.
Oh.
Anyway, JPP, who you got next?
This next band, Mundy and I had the pleasure of catching them as an opening act for Ministry, so it's not cheating. An amazing group called the Young Gods. And they were also on the Black Box set. They had a song called Envoyer, and it's noisy and chaotic. They grew to mature their sound. It was still industrial in nature, really loop focused. 3-piece group at I think maybe 3 or 4, I can't remember, but nonetheless, French, and the song Kissing the Sun. Heavy as hell. It's guitar samples. The drummer live is fantastic. Keyboard players triggering all these parts that are really cool. And the singer just has this nice, consistent voice. And I've actually looked at YouTube videos of them. They've played at like Montreal Jazz Festival and stuff, and have done some kind of crazy avant-garde industrial as well, and it works. Definitely a diverse group that explores all sorts of timbres, and I love them quite a bit. So they were hard to choose between number 1 or number 2.
All right,
Tough
Mundy.
crowd.
Sorry.
I know you're good. I got you.
Yeah. All right, Mundy. Who's your third?
Well, I'm just gonna say, no, this would be my second.
Yeah.
Yep. So number 2.
But I'm just gonna say that Paul sucks because I chose the exact same song.
I feared some overlap.
Yeah, you guys froze up on me, but yeah, I chose the exact same damn song. So,
But why did you choose it?
That's from
Must
their
be a good
'95 album, and everything Paul said. And I'll just add that we saw them play it live, and it was very cool. And when Ministry came on, the keyboard player ended up coming out and was standing with us, like, just out of nowhere. We're like, oh, hey, it's the keyboard player from Young Gods. What's up? And
Yeah.
Great song, great band, lots of fun.
All right.
Yeah. And Steve, I look forward to your reaction to them.
I'm going to check it out. I'm checking out every one of these, except for, of course, the ones I chose, because I don't need to check those out.
I don't understand why. Uh-oh. I'm seeing a circle in Mundy's presence. I don't know what that means.
I wonder if he is coming back in, maybe?
Yeah.
Well, we don't need him anyway for the next part, because it's me.
All right. That's good.
So I got to edit this and write down any of my choices. But my third choice comes from Fear Factory.
Oh, yeah.
And I chose Edge Crusher. Could have chosen a lot of different songs, but God, their songs just drive. They are so intense. And I love the vocals. There's a lot of the yelling aspect to it, but it sort of changes his cadence and how fast and slow and kind of mixes it up. And I really like that a lot.
Yeah.
Especially during the chorus. But what a fantastic song.
Yeah, he's very formulaic with his verse chorus deal, but Burton is a badass.
Yeah.
Mundy and I had the pleasure of seeing them live at quite a Deer Creek lineup. It was like Korn, Fear Factory, Megadeth, and who was the fourth? Oh, Flotsam and Jetsam. And Burton, at the end of the set, his throat was just so red. It looked like raw meat from screaming, and it was intense. Yeah, it was great. They put on a good live show. In fact, they told us to come down up front because we were in the pavilion there, and got to really watch them up close and see Dino with his crazy right hand precision picking. And I could go on and on, but I'll stop.
So you approve. Good. All right.
Yeah, it's okay. That's a good choice.
All right. Well, JPP, you are up. Who is your last choice?
Well, given that there may be another overlap, I'm going to go ahead and skip my number 3 and see if Mundy picks it, and I'll talk about it at the end if he doesn't. But a group that I really liked as well, it was kind of a side project from members of KMFDM called Excessive Force. They had a track called Violent Peace. Still sounds very KMFDM-like, but just had some different elements to it, like more voice mangling and stuff as well. Very good album. as well. It's very raw in its industrial nature, but it's still very heavy and something that I grew to enjoy immediately.
All right. Was it members
Yeah.
from KMFDM?
Yeah, yeah. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll look it up while we're chatting, but nonetheless, highly recommended. That's the thing about a lot of these industrial groups too. The joke is Al Jorgensen and Paul Barker were like half the industrial bands on Wax Trax because they had so many
Yeah.
side projects. But at the end of the day, they were very expressive and very creative, and they had a lot of different things that they could pull off. It was a very exciting time for me because everything was just so innovative. And every group had their own unique nature. They weren't copycats as much.
All right.
Yeah, and KMFDM also, they always had like a rotating cast of characters, and someone would show up for an album or two and then go away, and then
Yep.
all kinds of stuff and they all had 1,000 different side projects. So
yeah, and I found it's
the Excessive Force was a good one.
Yep, Sasha K and Buzz McCoy from My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult.
Okay. Yep. So that's another band that killer industrial band from the 90s.
Yep.
The 90s was like peak time for this stuff. All three of mine came from the 90s. So,
well, speaking of that, who is your third?
I'm curious to hear who Paul was talking about because I picked this song is, it just slays me every time. It's so good. When Paul and I worked together at Sam Goody in the Markland Mall, there was a promo that we used to play a lot, and we eventually got told, I think, not to play it because it was not top 40 stuff. That
Right.
it wasn't Britney Spears, which was
or
hot
Space
at the time.
Jam or the Wild Wild West soundtrack.
Yes. So there's this group called VAST, VAST.
Yeah.
And their first album is called Visual Audio Sensory Theater. And this is the very first song off of that album. It's from 1998. The song is called Here. And I structurally, performance-wise, sonically, this is about as close to a perfect song as I think you're going to find.
Mm-hmm.
It is gorgeous. The vocals are awesome. The layers are there. It kind of fades in and it goes hard in the paint right away after the fade in. And it's, it's up, it's down. There's dynamics. It is, it's just a gorgeous song. I can't say enough about it. And actually that promo that we used to play in the store, I still have it. And it was literally
Thief.
It's literally just the disc in a cardboard slide. You just slide into a little cardboard sleeve.
Yeah.
And it has
If Sam Goody were still a thing, I would report you.
Well, they gave it to him because they didn't want him to play it anymore.
Yes.
Please take this home.
Take it out of the store. Get it out of here.
Yeah. We want Space Jam. But
Lord.
no, that I forgot about that group, that that experience, because it's so well produced. It's like industrial, beautiful songwriting.
Yeah.
I
think a lot of that album and this song specifically, I think is at the what's the word I want to say? Maybe like the higher limits of the genre. It's this.
Mm-hmm.
This is where you can get to. Like it's the peak. It's so good. So good.
Yep. That's very cool.
All right. Well done, gentlemen. We got 11 different songs, right?
Yep.
Who did you think his third was going to be, Paul?
I thought it was going to be KMFDM, A Drug Against the War, because when we both saw that on Headbangers Ball, we were just like, what?
Where has this been all my life?
Yeah, it was fantastic. And that's still one of their anthems. What's funny is, as we talked about this, I picked my 3 right away pretty quickly, but once you mentioned Vast, that opened up a memory unlocked. I need a little sound effect for that. But there was a group I found in the cutout bin at Sam Goody when we were doing inventory, and I bought it for $2. It was a band called Argyle Park. And
Okay.
this, I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head, but his outfit now, like his groups, he has like a group called Cell Dweller, and he's
Oh,
done
yeah.
like dubstep and crazy industrial stuff, and he has a whole gamut of electronic genres that he dabbles in now. But there was a song on this Argyle Park album called Doomsayer featuring Tommy Victor from Prong, and it
Okay.
was what's that? The Controller. It was actually the same guitar riff from the Controller, and it had the same kind of drum loop
I
underneath
remember
it too.
that.
Yeah, so it essentially kind of probably was around that time he was working on that and kind of opened the gates for that Rude Awakening album.
I remember that. I do. Yep.
Yep. So another group for Foggy to check out.
Well, now
Argyle
we have
Park.
12 songs that are different.
You do.
Oh,
When I say
see,
12, we
this
don't have
is-
Tony here. It's only 9. Sorry, I lied.
the industrial thing. I mean, Paul and I were super deep into it. I mean, there was the '90s. I think that was just like peak industrial time, and there were so many bands, and I mean, I could have gone any number of ways with this, and these were just 3 that I came up with that I absolutely love. So I mean, I could go on and on and on here.
Yeah. Well, I started off with Ministry in college, then got out and continued with like Nine Inch Nails and Filter and that kind of stuff. But then we had children. There just wasn't, and I was working 2 jobs at that time. There just wasn't much time to dig into anything else
Yeah.
in the late 90s. So, all right. Well, see, Paul, you have the challenge next week. Do you have it ready, or are we going to be surprised throughout the week?
You'll be surprised.
Will you be surprised?
I'll be surprised. I'm telling you. Hey, I got one. Wow.
Oh, love it. Just don't wait too long. We
No,
need
no.
time. We need time.
No, I will. I'll brainstorm.
All right, sounds fantastic. So Paul's got the challenge next week, and perhaps a Lester Bangs. Who knows? Or maybe that will be the challenge. I don't know. All right.
I've been too busy reading, guys. Let me tell you.
This sounds like a
You
good
had to
time
catch
to
Yes.
to give a little shout out to our sponsor, the Kokomo Lantern. Thank you, Kokomo Lantern. If you want to get information all about Kokomo, you don't want to rely on the local newspaper. You need to head over to kokomolantern.substack.com and sign up for all the content. It is fantastic. It's growing all the time. It is really where you need to be. Great guy running that. Oh, Handy Coil says, say one nice thing about Michael Stipe challenge.
Well,
And there we go. I actually like Michael Stipe. Sorry. We all have our thing. We all have our guilty pleasures. I didn't call that a guilty
I don't
pleasure.
know.
do like
Yeah,
him.
I don't know if I would love him as a person, but
Oh,
I
what
like
didn't say-
some of our
Yeah,
I like some of REM's music.
yeah, I agree. I can't listen to it on end, but here and there when a song comes on, I'm like, yeah, I dig that. It's good. Okay, it is time to dig into Alex Lifeson's new project, which I'm really excited about. Like I said before, I was a little bit worried. And man, if you were to listen to this, it does not have the Alex Lifeson touch all over it. Maybe it has the new
No.
Alex Lifeson touch. I don't know. But you definitely wouldn't be like, oh, that sounds like Rush. And if you come into this thinking you're getting Rush or something that resembles it, you are going to be dead wrong, because this record is completely different.
mm-hmm.
It's got layers and layers and layers. It has a beautiful new voice in Maya Wen. So let's get started on this. What do you guys think? First off, before we dig into the songs.
You're saying it's an onion first off with all the
It
layers.
is. It's a parfait because onions are, well, cooked. They're good. Continue.
I felt like this was a nice surprise, to be honest with you. I went in not knowing what to expect. The later era Rush certainly, if I can talk, holy cow. But anyway, the later Rush certainly had its kind of vibe that was consistent, right? And Alex and Rush in general, they had their direction, and they would change things up here and now and every now and again, but you could still identify when Alex Lifeson played. You knew it was him and Getty and so on and so forth. But this kind of felt like to me, he was like, okay, I've done that for 40 some years. It's time to have some fun. There's a lot of textures. There's a lot of elements that he did that wasn't really indicative of Rush's repertoire. It's not guitar driven or anything like that for the most part. Lots of kind of being in the background, letting guitar kind of be the voice that kind of spread and filled the void versus being the main focus. And it sounds like he just had a good time. You know what I mean? He was just having fun experimenting with the guitar this time around.
Yeah, I think so too. And it's interesting because there is a lot of synth on this. And at one point in the mid 80s, he was tired of the synth with Rush. He thought it was taking over too much. So it's interesting that when his first, solo venture like this, it's pretty heavy with synth. And there's a lot of it. But he does get to, like you said, the textures underneath are all guitar. So pretty cool.
And, plus losing a friend like he did too. I mean, I don't know how long he's been working on this album, but maybe the direction is intentional after, years of being in that organic approach. It was time to kind of get that outlet with, what, you okay over there, Mundy?
Yep. Drop my pen.
Man. But
my pen.
Anyway, yeah. So at the end of the day, maybe there was a lot of intention with that too, just kind of disconnect from, the drum experience as a whole as well.
The last song was specifically written for Neil.
Yeah.
Which I love that. All right, we'll talk about it when we get there.
Sounds
Mundy, got anything to add? Are you ready to dig in?
Yeah, I just, it really seems like he did not insert himself into this as a guitar player too terribly much. I mean, it's pretty sparse, really, and what he did do is, it works for the song. I think that's it. This project seems to be much more about song structure and not flashy guitar solos. So, not that that's all Rush did, but with those three musicians at the level they were at. And they're kind of proggy, so that you expect that, and that's not what you get here. So, and I said the challenge got pushed to this week, and I think that worked out because this, man, I mean, there's industrial all over this. There's a lot here, a lot of that here. So I'm curious. I would like to know what he was listening to that got him to this point, and like, hey, that's a sound I want to play with.
Absolutely. I think the song that he started off with was Cobble Blues, which has more of the guitar. But yeah, it would be interesting. I haven't listened to too many interviews to find out, what the spark was for this. But let's get started. First song, Never Say I Love You. Great album opener.
Agreed. It's funny because it's like we had this industrial challenge, and to Mundy's point, yes, it's fitting. But what's also interesting is this album kind of has a really strong kind of later 90s era of down tempo that came out with electronic music where, like Massive Attack and more Chiba and, there's several groups. Oh, Sneaker Pimps. I was really reminded of Sneaker Pimps a lot with this album because of the kind of the calm nature of the songs with the female vocals, and just really kind of scratched that itch from that era for me.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Like we always talk about, what does that album opener do? It was a little more up tempo than some of them because there were a lot that were slower than that. It set the tone in terms of the electronic nature, the synth nature of the record, which I love, and it really brought in Maya's voice. She is fantastic. It really shows on this song.
Yeah,
I think this is a good setup for her expertise throughout the album. It's got a real solid, easy groove. It's good without being too terribly challenging. I think kind of gets your attention without pushing you away too much. I like how it comes in and it goes for almost a minute, and then it just really thickens up and gets real dense, and very cool changes in this one.
I think a lot of them had that same approach where we started with some noises and just kind of added layers upon layers as the song went.
And
Nice
midway
approach.
through the song, with the kind of the clean guitar chunk that's kind of kicking in too, it helps with the drive. It's just cool. It's fun, and it's neat to see Alex do some things that you would not expect him to do.
Agreed. Next song up is Shadow. And it's kind of cool because this one really switched. I mean, obviously it had some of the similar things going on, but it was a bouncy little groove. It had some kind of it had little cool elements to start it. And then it just wasn't as smooth as the last one. It was a little bouncier. And again, great vocals. So I really liked this song. It was really good.
I was muted. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mundy. I was like trying to push buttons.
I was just gonna say, yeah, this one I love the bass line right away. I was like, oh, that's tasty. And I had the groove really drops in and out, and I really like the lyrics on this one. It's called Shadow, and she talks about shadows and stuff in the chorus, but the line that I really loved was like, your darkness follows me. So it's like her shadow is maybe not her shadow, but your shadow, your darkness is making a shadow for me. So I thought that was pretty cool. Cool imagery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the bass line that kind of came through in and out, little gritty, a lot of low end, really nice texture, where the high end is really resting really well up there. There's a nice sonic opposite end, if you will. Sorry, let me look at it this way. If I was Bob Ross, I'd have my mountains over here and the trees over here, and the snow and that kind of thing. So I mean, things are resting really, really well. And what's also interesting is, as opposed to some of the Rush anthems that we know, that's kind of the word of the day, anthems. But these songs are relatively short, right? So they're kind of more ingestible, not necessarily pop, but certainly contemporary in the nature of today's attention span.
I think some had a slight pop edge to them. Definitely radio friendly, I would guess, which isn't a bad thing either. I mean, he kind of hits it all with it. And Rush had radio friendly. All of our bands have had radio friendly songs. So
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that.
I'm looking for Cannibal Corpse's radio friendly hit soon.
Oh, you haven't heard it?
No.
It's out now.
There we go.
Song's over. All right. Next song is Look Inside. This one starts to bring a little bit of the heavy, which I thought was cool. Had some really nice guitar effects. And what's interesting, too, is her voice sometimes is almost dreamlike or ethereal. And it was in strong contrast to the music on this one. And it really worked. And, she's singing with this beautiful voice. And then the lyrics are like ripples of rancor and phantoms of pain. This song had some great lyrics, and I really dug this one.
The sound of this one at the beginning, especially, it comes in with that distorted bass line. And I think the combination of the distortion on the bass and the riff that the bass player is playing, this is like the most Rush feeling thing on the album, I think. But it very quickly does not sound like Rush, because then they throw everything else on top of it, and the bass line kind of sits down in its pocket and does what it's supposed to do. The openings, definitely, I was like, that sounds a little bit like Getty. But yeah, and vocals, I feel like, I don't know, this one, they almost had too much effects on the vocals for me on this one, but so it made it a little hard to understand here and there. But I mean, it's still a cool song. So
yeah, for me, like the note I wrote was swimming in reverb. The whole song, I mean, like the synths and everything's just real lush and echoey. It's almost cavernous in its own way. It reminded me of those visualizers you would get on iTunes early in the 2000s when you'd play your song and things are kind of slowly spinning and the graphics are moving and that kind of thing. I could kind of see that happening with the way this song would flow. It just had a pretty consistently slow tempo and basically it's almost like you're going through the tunnel and hearing all the sound bouncing right back at you from the dimensions around you.
All right. That brings up the fourth song called Liar. This was I think the first one they released, if I remember correctly, back in
I think so.
January.
Yeah.
And it makes sense why they did it. It's got this really cool groove. It is definitely radio friendly. Has a really cool chorus that's catchy. And then of course the song's about calling somebody out for being a dirty liar, which lyrically I think it was a really good song. This was not one of my favorite songs. I think easy to listen to, but if I go back and pick out a couple songs, this would not be one of my top songs.
This was one of my highlights, I gotta say, for a couple of the reasons you said. Absolutely killer groove, lots of really, really cool, tasty layers. And in those layers, there's a lot of really nice kind of atmospheric sounds that come in and out. And I feel like they don't stick with the same sounds throughout the song. Like it's kind of different stuff comes in and out, and it works really, really well. But this was a highlight for me. I like this song a lot.
This was the tune that instantly made me think of Sneaker Pimps. Kind of reminds me of the song 6 Underground. It's a different vibe, but the same kind of progression in the bass line where it goes and the groove is different too, but nonetheless, that's a really catchy, hooky song, if you will, as well. But when I heard it, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember hearing this one when it came out earlier, and this is one that'll definitely come back on rotation. Spoiler alert.
It's okay. We've already talked about it. You don't have to give an alert. All right. Then is Spy House. The other one has a lot of really good guitar, more in the forefront. I think the lyrics on this one kind of take a step back. They seem a little understated compared to the rest of the song. I thought this one had a really cool groove too. I liked it quite a bit. I actually liked it better than Liar. You guys will disagree.
Yeah, I didn't have a whole lot to say on this one, honestly. I like the I don't even know what to call it. In my mind, it's like kind of a little bit of an offset groove, like with the drums and I think maybe the guitar and the drums are, they're not completely synced up. Like I don't know if that's like it's on an off beat or something, but I really like that about it, but I didn't really have much else to say about it.
Well, you kind of read my mind, because that's exactly what came to mind for me. What is happening is it's called like a pickup note, where you start on a couple beats before one, and those kind of pick up into the next measure. And
there you go.
Basically, if you took that and shifted it, you might be able to have a different perception of that groove, but they had it another way, and my brain was wanting it to start on a different spot. So that kind of blew my mind. I was like, wow, that's cool. And I love it when songs do that. There's riffs that happen like that all the time, and it's just like, wow, that's really cool. But at the end of the day, that made me kind of get real cerebral with this track, and I really enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah. Well, he is a master. Whether he's doing something different here, he's got 45 years of time with Rush and playing to build up a lot. So that's neat that you guys caught that. Next up is Dog's Life. I really like that. There is one part of this song that I absolutely dug. It was about 2 minutes in, 2:10 or something like that. There was a super cool breakdown with heavy drums and guitar. It lasts just briefly, and then they go back to the song, but I thought it was really awesome. And I love the message here too, that it's a dog's life, and life is a grind, and you gotta put in the time and the effort and the work if you're going to get anything out of it. And so I like the message here. I really like this song a lot, but man, that breakdown I thought was awesome.
Yeah, that's the payout.
Yeah. So this one, I thought, I don't know. I honestly didn't love the mix on this song. I like, there are a lot of the songs that are like they'll have kind of a mellow part and then blast up with the big, louder part. And dynamics are fine. Like, I love that in a song, but I feel like, I don't know, this song made me feel like the mix was off a little bit until about, I wrote down 1:40, but you said 2:10, but
it could have been.
I don't know. I don't, something about it just didn't completely work for me. It didn't ruin the song for me, but something felt off to me in the mix.
I think what I liked most about the song was her vocals were just kind of more dark and lower for quite a bit. And then to that point with that heavy buildup, I could almost picture, and I probably am wrong, but I can almost picture they had that groove, like the foundation of it with the lower notes, and then they might have spent some time adding some extra voicing because those voicings are a little more, I mean, they're harmonious, but they're a little more disjunct. They're not like something you would normally just ingest like in a pop formula. They have a little bit of dissonance to them, but in a good way, and they resolve differently and create that tension. And that immediately caught me and put this up on my list as well as one of the higher tracks.
Cool. I really like the next one, Kabul Blues. It definitely has a Middle Eastern feel to it. It's got those subdued drums, and it's got, I don't know what it's almost a tambourine-ish style of sound. I'm not sure what it was. Paul, you probably know. It had really slick guitar notes in the background, very defined, but it definitely, without being overly so, had a Middle Eastern feel. Lyrics were really cool. I think I heard this originally as just an instrumental before they put the lyrics over. And I think they released that sometime last fall. So this was a pretty cool song.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't remember hearing the instrumental on it, but yeah, it's definitely got the sitar textures, the tabla, with the kind of the talking drum kind of vibe going there. Yeah. And it's cool. And that's along the lines of a lot of the down tempo I used to listen to in the 90s as well. They used a lot of samples or brought in musicians to create loops with exotic instruments, and just really interesting overlays over the synths. And this kind of fits that vibe perfectly.
Yeah. The feel of this song is just really cool. And the vocals, again, I girl, but she's good. She's really, really good.
Yeah, I sent a message to Michael and told him he should look her up for a song in the future. She's special. Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah. Next song is Old Strings. This is one of my favorites. This was like the highlight from the first time I went through. It just stood out. The sounds at the beginning, there was like an odd chime of some kind that almost sounded like there was a hollowness to it, like it was coming out of a jar or something. I don't know exactly what it was, but it had fantastic lyrics. I loved everything that it had to say about growing older and changing without even realizing time had passed. And this song I thought was really cool and really hit the sweet spot.
Yeah, when it hit, it kind of reminded me of Angel from Massive Attack because it had that low tone and just real mellow kind of clicky percussion that wasn't like hard hitting drums and stuff. And yeah, to your point, that kind of, again, that tunnel vibe where that hollow nature and stuff, the way that low end kind of surrounds you versus just being like a direct hit, and it just really engulfs you. Great tune, good vibe. Her voice really does a fantastic job in the song as well.
Yeah, this one, I mean, it's just gorgeous. It really is. This is a good example of when the music and vocals just have this really great synergy. And I mean, they're just almost perfectly complementary of each other. The whole thing is just gorgeous. Really, really works.
Yeah, and Alex does some really cool guitar swells in the middle of it too. Just, and just kind of call and response and just real flavorful. Again, not flashy, just serving the song.
I like that he gets a chance to do this. I wonder if he enjoys that because everything he did with Rush was so technical, and they were, I mean, time-wise with the signature changes and being in sync with Geddy, and they were just obsessed live to be just right. I wonder if this is different for him in a good way.
Yeah, you got an audio bed. You just relax and slap some, elements on top of it where it fits, and kick back in the hammock while the rest of the band's playing. I mean, I don't know.
All right, next song, 3 to go. The next one is Dumb. I thought this one, I didn't have a ton to say about this one. There were some interesting noises at the beginning, some cool synth, and again, Maya Wynn delivers with some more excellent vocals. But other than that, this one did not stand out for me.
I had a really killer beat, some cool guitar tags, like we were just talking about, and nothing over the top. The chorus is really, really cool. She says something like, the song's called Dumb, and she's talking about how, you make me feel dumb. And, so probably not about anything great, but it works for the song. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely not a throwaway tune, but it certainly had elements that were super familiar, pretty good even pace, and I felt like overall, compared to some of the other tracks we listed, it doesn't hit the top of my list, but it's an enjoyable listen.
Okay. The penultimate song is called Enemy, and this one definitely, going along with the song title, sounds a bit sinister. They have some sounds here that really create that mood that I thought was very cool. And there was
I said the same thing.
Then I win. I read Mundy's mind. Game over. Yeah, and it had some cool synth noise, some little cool clicking going on back there. The lyrics were slowed down, which also made it a little more sinister. And this whole thing that I am not your enemy. I really dug this one. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I said the synth groove, I mean, it's just nasty. It is dirty and nasty and sounds amazing. And I said the song sounds menacing. That was my word. So we're all obviously on the same wavelength there. The chorus is big. It's real big and it sounds great. And I think this song sounds like the closing track. Like this should be the album closer. Like I get from what you said earlier, like I get where they're coming from with the last song, but this is your closer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The thing that stood out, of course, was the huge guitars. I mean, that's probably the hugest I've heard Alex in as far as guitar tone goes, and definitely stretched out in the gritty distortion realm, and I loved every second of it. Really, really cool tune.
Yeah. I'm glad we all like that. That was cool. And I'm going to disagree with Mr. Mundy. the final closer is Western Sunset, and you can shut up, mister. No, if you didn't know the background behind it, I agree. This would be an odd closer, but knowing that he sat on sort of a porch overlooking the sunset with Neil after he'd been diagnosed, and that sunset was sort of poetic for Alex and inspired this song, it kind of brings in a new meaning. And so I like this as the close, to bring this first chapter without Neil to a close, thinking about Neil. For me, that really, it just fits. And it's not overly complex. There are simple parts that just build and add layers to it. And I thought by the end, it was beautiful. And of course, thinking about Neil makes it even better. So
yeah,
I loved it.
It's got the classic background, foreground with the music, things kind of coming in, grabbing your attention and stuff. But, to that point, given the story you just shared, sitting on a porch, enjoying probably a lot of a silent moment and thought and things like that. I mean, it just kind of is a metaphor for the simplicity of life. We make it more complex than we need to be. And this song is definitely not super complicated.
Yeah. The story aside, I mean, this song is just it doesn't fit with the rest of the album. So I understand where it came from, and that's awesome. That's a beautiful thing for musicians to be able to express themselves in that way. And Paul, I know you've done something similar to that. So when a friend has passed, so I love that. I do. And I'm glad that I know that now. It definitely puts a different spin on it, but not knowing it and listening to this album when this came on, I was like, what, this is not the same thing.
No, I mean, I was taken aback by it too. I mean, I'm not going to lie, but hearing that, it's like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, sure. I'm like, yeah. Hey,
yeah.
Do what you got to do.
More power to you.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're all still processing it. I mean, it's been a couple of years, and they sat with it for a few because they knew, family and some close people knew. Most people did not. which is really cool too that they were able to keep
Yeah.
that secret for so long. But
Yeah.
beautiful ending. All right, let's go round table. Score. Will you listen again, JPP?
4.7. Yes. The end.
Mundy.
I'd probably land around a 4 on this. There's a lot that I like. There's a lot that probably won't come back to. Not a lot, but there's a little I probably won't come back to. But it's hard to, I don't know. Like there's a couple of songs that are like, ooh, that's my favorite. Ooh, that's my favorite. But I mean, the thing as a whole is pretty good. So I'll probably check it out some more.
Mm-hmm.
Good. I'm a 4.25, and I will definitely check it out again. There are some others I think I would put onto a playlist for the future. There are some that I think will go away, as I move on, and I won't necessarily revisit. But there are some that I really dug, and I probably will always go back to those. So,
Yep.
Great
Hats
first
off.
outing.
Hats off to Alex for this creative venture and something that's completely surprising. You know what I mean? And I don't mean that in, oh, you can do this. It's more like, wow, you after a long legacy, this is a whole different step, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, definitely a different direction.
It feels inspired.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you could sit back and you don't have to do anything the rest of your life. You have so many albums, gold and platinum, and you have fans everywhere, and you've got this community that is insane, probably over the top and drives other people crazy, and yet you feel the need to create music. And he came up with something that was inspired. It didn't feel like it was just throwaway and he's just doing it because he doesn't have anything else to do. It felt like there was real intent here. I dug it a lot.
Yeah.
Yep. Agreed.
All right. Well, that wraps up the musical portion of the evening. Now it's time to move on to comics. Yes.
Time to get spooky.
Now it's time to get real. Now it's time to find out what in the hee-haw happened after Dream made it back. He escaped. And now he is on the path. He's got to go find his missing objects. He's got a bag of sand he's looking for. He's got a helm that is super cool. Looks like a Giger. It actually was inspired by Giger. And a ruby. Powerful ruby that he's looking for. And so that's where we pick up with issue number 2. So where do you want to start?
At the beginning, I think it's cool that right away we get Cain and Abel, who are, for those that don't know, they're straight out of the 70s classic DC horror. That was, Cain was what? Cain was House of Mystery, and Abel was the House of Secrets, I believe. And those were kind of two of DC's bigger horror books from the 70s. So it's cool to see them brought into this universe, which basically Neil is putting the spin on it that those two characters, they are Cain and Abel, the Cain and Abel that you think of when you hear Cain and Abel, but in the roles that they're in, they get a lot of their power from Morpheus, from Dream. Like they basically serve at his whim almost. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's great biblical characters that DC brought in there.
Yeah, and their relationship is hilarious. It's just, he's Cain constantly trying to kill Abel and him coming right back, and it just all happens again. And, he's Cain's the big bully, and Abel's, kind of cowering all the time. Pretty cool.
Yep, yeah. That's all straight from the Bible. That's so awesome that they brought that in there. And yeah, it's almost a comedy duo here.
Yes.
In the way that they're presented, which is awesome.
Yeah, so me kind of coming into this firsthand, I was a little confused at first because I just didn't know that establishment, and then a little later on I see a nod to the Justice League, and then John Constantine and stuff like that. So so here's my naive question, and forgive me because I don't follow a lot in the DC realm. So Constantine, was he already an established character as well, or did he come from the story?
Constantine came from his first appearance, and most of his activity was in the Swamp Thing. And then he got his own series. I think that was before Sandman, right?
That started. Didn't they start around the same time?
It was pretty close.
I'd have to look that up. Yeah, they. Yeah, we have to look that up.
But yeah, Constantine came about from Swamp Thing.
Okay. So if this was a book club, I'm kind of the guy that's kind of coming in, late to the game and, hey, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Give me the Cliff's Notes. But I really like what they're doing with him in the story. I've already started to read ahead, but I think that's really cool. And I really like, the fact that there's, a lot of chaos going on, right? Like there's these characters that were experiencing, long sleeps and all that kind of stuff. And, I came in really puzzled, and I finished that first issue yesterday right away, and then I went, started reading ahead this morning. So I'm getting more hooked and really enjoying the ride. I won't have much to contribute because I'm still trying to process it all. But at the end of the day, I'm glad we're doing this. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, and this is, it's cool because this is, that whole first issue was basically Dream's captivity and then him escaping, and now we're seeing him trying to get home, and then once he does get home, he's been gone for 70 80 years, or about 70 years. So his home is in ruins, and so now he has to rebuild. He has to find all of his artifacts. He's got to, build up his energy so that he can rebuild and all of that. So it's pretty cool that we're seeing the start of the journey home. Yeah.
What I think is so cool is, so the first one was 40 pages, and you had a lot of space to move. So this one was back to 24 pages, I think. But let's think about all that he managed to cram in there. So we've got Cain and Abel, and they came from 2 other books. We have the lady who stole the stuff in the beginning return and go see John D, who's from a Justice League book, and then we see the Justice League then again at the end. He brings in John Constantine. He brings in the 3 witches. All this happens in 24 pages, and it doesn't feel rushed.
Yeah.
That's like masterful work, because that is a ton of stuff that just could, by somebody who isn't very skilled, could just be a hodgepodge thrown at you that doesn't.
Yeah. The John D character, that's Dr. Destiny, right? And he's kind of I don't know. Was he ever like a major villain?
I don't believe so, no.
Definitely not in the, more recent times. And by recent, I mean like 20, 30 years. He's not been a player or anything. He just kind of pops up here and there. Kind of a weird look. Actually, Paul, you should look him up because he kind of has a bit of a Skeletor look.
Nice. Yeah.
But right down to like the kind of a bluish purple costume with a yellow skull face.
Nice. I'm sold already.
But but that was, it's cool the way he tied everything in. And there's like the 3 witches, the three fates, right? So you have the maiden, is it the mother? The maiden, and the crone. What's the middle one? Is it the mother? I don't remember.
JPP's looking it up. He's got it with him.
But anyway,
it's all my Cliff Notes here.
Those characters come and go here and there, and they did a mini series spinoff of them, like a 3-issue mini series, because there's 3 of them. See how that works?
Well, that whole concept is used on, like, Shakespeare used it. That's.
That goes back to at least the Roman times.
It's the Greek stuff, yeah.
Yeah, the Greek stuff. That's what I meant, not Roman Greeks, because the Romans they just ripped the Greeks off.
Thieves.
But so yeah, and I love that concept of where he can ask each one of them one question, and then he asks them the question, they kind of answer it, and then he starts to ask them, and they're like, no, you get one.
Just one.
Yeah. So awesome. And then by the 3rd time, he was like, he starts to ask a second question, and he's like, oh, never, I remember, I get one. So that's pretty cool, and that is where we get, they're telling him like Constantine might have the bag of sand, the Justice League might have the ruby, and so then Dream's left he basically has to go investigate this stuff on his own.
So forgive me. I'm trying to look through this page here. I see what there's maiden. The maiden. Is there the witch queen? Is that one of the roles of the three?
No, it's the three of them. It's the age. Like the young one is the maiden, the middle one I can't remember, and the old is the crone. I can't remember what they call her. If it's,
and they have names like one of them represents like Morgan Le Fay, so stuff like that. So
okay, got it. Because I see what the names are kind of capitalized. I see crone, I see maiden, and then I see witch queen capitalized.
Maybe that is it.
I
then.
don't know. Maybe
WITCH, not WH.
Come back next week and find out if it's the witch queen.
Yeah. Lady Atropos,
Yeah, that's not. I wasn't worried about. I mean, there's so many names from like history and different religions and superstitions and whatever. I was just trying to remember.
Yeah, he's pulled so much into this that it's insane. And
that's where I'm like a lot to process for me because I'm like, who's this? What's going on? I'm almost need a cross reference book just to even see who's who and what's what.
Yeah,
you kind of do. So but it's interesting too because the first two issues have felt full, like you're really getting a lot, but really all they've done is set this up for what the whole series is going to be, which is really cool that he's so good at doing that. And it was a cool scene when Dream gets back to his home and it's like, it's in ruin, and I love
that Lucian is the one that's there because he would be would be the one that would stay there and try to keep it together.
Another good issue.
And I think this was maybe in issue 1 or maybe at the beginning of issue 2, forgive me, but I'm trying to remember where the mother came to see her son and he was kind of locked away. Which characters were those again? I'm sorry.
The mom is the one who stole the artifacts in the beginning from Sykes.
That's right. Okay. Yeah.
And then John D is the one who
Dr. Destiny.
He abused the ruby, and that's why he cannot sleep or dream. And that's when he got busted by the Justice League. So that's why we assume the Justice League has that. Batman probably has next to some kryptonite somewhere. Because that's what he does.
Stupid Superman. Wait. We watch Lego Batman, so that whole vibe is still present in our household.
Yeah.
Well, Batman has a way to stop every single superhero, just in case, because you never know. That's what he does.
Does he have a Hulkbuster? Oh wait, wrong universe.
Sometimes.
Yeah, maybe.
So, did you guys dig the first one or second issue better?
I think the second issue for me. I mean, the first one's good, but I was coming in. Just starting to unveil what was happening, but then things started to pick up in the second issue, and then I'm already in the third one. We'll talk about that next week, but I'm starting to really have a good time now.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, the first issue is just a classic, and it's like the first issue of any series. It's mostly set up, and there's a lot going on. And in this one, you're finally like, okay, he's free. Like, here we go. What's going to happen? So it's trying to, I think this is part of the masterful skill level of Neil Gaiman this is all like, there's not any real serious action going on here. It's literally a guy comes home and is trying to figure out what he needs to do to, rebuild his life. And that's it. And the mastery of Neil Gaiman comes into play there, where that is super interesting.
We've only known him for a very short time. He was a guy in a glass ball who didn't do anything except for lay there.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, a few panels in, we feel for this guy who came home and his home's destroyed.
Yeah.
So that is some masterful writing. Neil Gaiman's amazing. All right.
I can relate though, because I came home and had to do laundry. I had to get my clothing in order.
Amen, brother. I don't do laundry. I screwed it up once, so I never can do it again.
Oh, yeah. There's specific instructions for us. Do not pick up the garment. Do not wash in hot. Do not wash in cold. Put it away and go do something productive.
So, all right. Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
Next week, we will definitely hit issue number 3. I can't wait to dig into that. And then Paul's challenge. Have you figured it out since we started talking earlier?
say one nice thing about Michael Stipe. Oh wait,
Oh, he did that.
I know.
Yep.
We'll reconvene in the next day or so and
Sounds
spring it upon our listener.
I think whether we pick another album or not, I think we ought to dig into those songs from Killing Joke.
Agreed.
Those were great.
Yeah,
I definitely
That'd
would.
be cool.
Okay, we'll do that. We'll pick up on Killing Joke. And gentlemen, if anybody wanted to find you, where in the hee-haw would they do it? JPP?
At my local library, picking up graphic novels of Neil Gaiman. No, you can find me at the Phoenix Supernova on Instagram. You can also find me at justplainpaul.com. Feel free to sign up for the newsletter and get updates on what's happening creatively, if you will. Also, there may or may not be some merch in the works. Found some boxes of the old Data of the East Accolade that need to go. So,
Nice.
Coming soon to a shopping cart online near you.
Fantastic. Metalhead Mundy. Where?
Well, if you go back in time, you could find me sitting on my grandparents' floor watching Hee Haw as it happened. Since we're saying that all the time now. But if you want to talk to me now, you can just find me on Instagram at Metalhead Mundy. You can see right there. It's MUNDY.
You can find him on his MySpace page. It's rocking. Updates
It's out
daily.
there somewhere.
Yeah.
It's out there somewhere. I
wish that would
remember the
come
login.
back. That would be so cool.
Need
I don't
glitter
remember the
gifts.
login, but it's there.
All right. I am Foggy Spout. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter. You can find Wanderings and Wool Gathering on YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, Stitcher, CastBox, SoundCloud. You can find us at the Kokomo Lantern on Facebook Live. And you can find album, movie, TV, and comics reviews at wandeриngsandwoolgathering.com. See you next week. Episode 110. Never thought we'd get there. For Sandman issue number 3, and maybe a little Killing Joke talk, and an amazing challenge yet to be revealed. Thanks, everybody. Play us out.